Hey, everybody. I am back again with my second podcast. Um, you know, this month is Women's Month. I don't know why they put it in March. I think it's because spring starts in March. So, fertilization, all that, the love bug, all that stuff that goes on. But I'm here today. We're going to talk about women's health. I'm going to start off with a story. It's about a young couple that decide they want to have a child. And the young woman is 19. And 7 days after her 20th birthday, she goes into labor. So they go to the hospital. And the doctors check her. They see she's only dilated 2 centimeters. So they don't send her home. They keep her for the night. She has terrible, terrible contractions. And they give her something to help her sleep. But it doesn't really help her that much because the contractions are coming sooner. So she doesn't really get much rest. The next morning, when the doctor comes in, he checks her. She's still dilated 2 centimeters. They leave her for a couple of hours, hoping that her cervix is going to open. And a few hours later, they check her again, and still only 2 centimeters. And now she's in heavy labor. Okay. Her baby is pushing, her cervix is not opening, and the doctors start to panic and get worried. So they see that her blood pressure has gone up. They see she's running a fever. So they have to put a fetal monitor to the baby, and they put an IV in one of her arms, and they're hoping, her blood pressure is going to come down and her fever is going to start to wane off. When they come back, they realize there's a problem, and the fetus is starting to lose oxygen to the brain. So now we have to make a decision, and the doctors are advising her that if she stays in labor, the baby's going to come out, but she's going to lose her life, and so will her child. So as any mother would do in that situation, it was like, just save the baby. Okay, that's what I want. I want you to save my baby. That's what she tells the doctors. So now she's in this bed looking at two doctors. One doctor's job is to save the fetus. The other doctor's job is to save the mother. They have her sign a paper, and hear what I'm saying. They have the mother sign a paper. And they tell the staff, prep her for emergency surgery. Now, what we have going on right now in this country, I mean, the stories are unbelievable when I hear them, especially in a lot of the southern states where they're telling women, if the fetus dies during pregnancy, you must carry that baby, even if it's deceased, until it's time for you to deliver, which is traumatic. You have young women who have tubular pregnancies, miscarriages, and anything that has to do with the fetus in these states, it's like they need to make sure that your miscarriage wasn't a mishap of you trying to abort it, making a woman carry a baby that has died inside her uterus to full term is something that is absolutely insane. It's almost as if the government has now decided we're going to kidnap your reproductive organs and we're going to decide whether you are going to be a parent. To hear that doctors can be arrested and thrown in jail for doing an abortion, or if you leave the state and go to another state to have it done, basically you should probably stay there, because they're saying if you come back, we're going to arrest you for going off to have an abortion. Now, we all know that women fought for the right to do with their body as they please, especially for their reproductive organs. And I myself was a child when all of this was going on. So, they fought for equal rights. They fought, to have control over their own body. They fought for feminism. All kinds of stuff was going on in the late 60s, the early 70s. And the only thing I actually remember as a child is that my mom went from wearing a pencil skirt to a micro mini with matching panties. And her telling me how women were burning their bras in effigy because they wanted control over themselves. So here we are, basically going back to, for women, the Stone Ages, where men are telling women they're going to be in control. And that is just horrible. So we have young girls as young as 7 years old can start their menstrual. They don't know what's going on with them. They're still a child. And a lot of them, it's emotional, it's traumatic, and now they're going to be going to school and they're already starting their periods. They most likely will have a lot of pain, because most young women, when they start their menstrual, have a lot of pain. What are they supposed to do? Men are telling us what we can and cannot do with our bodies. And that is not right. The young women in our society, yes, they're screaming, but they have to scream louder. Everyone has to scream louder, because this is our bodies. Now, I was raised under Catholicism. My mom was Catholic, so abortion was never going to be an option when I was growing up, if that was to happen, which I was smart enough not to let that happen, because I would have been sent to a convent. But my mother also raised me to understand that even though it wasn't supposed to be right for me, because she raised me as a Catholic, that shouldn't be for everybody else, because every woman has the right to decide what she wants to do. Men make it seem like, oh, they can take a birth control pill, or they can get abortions, that women are just running out, or young girls are just running out to just have sex. And that's how it was back then too, when they developed the birth control pill and it started being given to women. This is what a lot of religious, people believe, that, oh, now that they can keep from having babies, they're just going to run out there and go crazy. They did. It was called Woodstock, and it was like 3 days of sex, love, peace, and drugs. I was too young for it. I wish I wasn't. I would have been having a good time there. But that's what they assumed was going to happen then too. That's not what happened. All women want is the right to decide. And when you take that right away from them, bad things happen. I my mom used to tell me the stories, and I used to just look at her like, I don't understand. What do you mean she used a coat hanger? What do you mean women are going into back alleys to some guy who says they can help them get rid of their baby? What is that? That doesn't even make sense. But that's what women felt they had to do. Now, as that's just one portion of our health. Birth control pills are given to thousands of young women, teenagers, just to regulate the menstrual cycle. Because it happens, I mean, for me, I got it at 14 and then it disappeared for a whole year. I was panicking. I'm looking at my mother like, I haven't done anything. I swear to God, I haven't done anything. But that's our bodies, you know. The doctor was like, don't worry about it. She's not ovulating. It'll start back again. And it did. A year later, it came back and it stayed with me, which seemed like forever. I'm so glad I don't have to deal with that anymore. But for many young women, that's not the case. I hear so many stories from people that I know who are younger, who have so much problems with that area of the body. You know, the uterus, we can say vagina, it's not a terrible thing. You know, their hormones are all wacky and haywire. You know, they're back and forth constantly to the doctor. And for them to go through what they're going through, they need to have coverage. To hear that our, different states have given, authority to some businesses or corporations that, if you don't want to cover birth control, you don't have to, which now leaves the female employees who are having problems with that area. What are they supposed to do? They can't get government assistance, health assistance, because they already have a health benefit plan with their employer. So now you're going to deny them being able to go to the doctor to get the help medically that they need, because you, again, daddy government, want to have control over women's bodies. Now, it took a very long time before doctors started to understand that after women have babies, there's something called postpartum syndrome. And I recall my mom telling me after I had my first child, she would say, there's something that goes on. It's in our hormones. It's how we are processing, how our body is processing. And she would say, if the baby is crying, make sure, 1, the pamper is fine. Okay. 2, they're fed. 3, they've been burped. And if they're still crying, put them in their crib, turn on some music, and close the door. And I'm thinking, what? That sounds crazy until it happened. Postpartum syndrome is a very serious issue. And I remember back in the 90s that Brooke Shields, the model and actress, came out and spoke about it. And then another actor had something to say, like, that's psychological. It can be fixed. You didn't need to have to get medicine and treatment and all that. Yes, she did, because postpartum syndrome is a serious. It's not a disease. I don't even know if you would call it a mental issue. It may be, but the women's hormones are all over the place after they give birth. It's like everywhere. We cry for no reason, but then we cry for no reason when we're pregnant. We cry for no reason when we're on our menstruals. Oh my God. I used to have meltdowns, literally meltdowns. And there's so many women that go through, they have absolute meltdowns when they're on their menstrual. You say one thing to them and the waterworks are all over the place. But men want to take control of our reproductive organs. They want to tell us how we are. How would you know? You're not a woman. We're built differently. We're still human, but our body works differently from men. So that's another issue. You've got pregnancies, you have postpartum syndrome, you have menstrual issues that so many women go through, okay? And what about all the other diseases we worry about? Women. I myself have lupus. Didn't see it coming. But in my older age, I was diagnosed with lupus. But there are young women diagnosed with it too. You can be diagnosed as early as your teen years. And it's a real issue. You have so many autoimmune diseases out there, and it's starting to run rapid. Every time I turn around, someone is telling me they have RA, they have lupus, they have Lyme disease, MS, you name it, they've got it. And it's happening to women, and in an astronomical way. I mean, every time I talk to someone, they're dealing with an autoimmune disease, and they're having such a hard time with it. They're gaining weight, they're losing weight, they can't eat, they can't hold food down. This is part of why women are screaming about women's health. All of these things cost a lot of money. Do we know how it happened? No, but it's happening to us. I kind of think it has something to do with those years before they started putting little signs on our meat saying no steroids, no hormones, no antibiotics. How long do you think we were feeding our children with meat that had all of that in it? I don't remember. I just remember when they started putting the signs up on the meat, labeling it. There was no big thing in the news about people are getting sick or their side effects from shooting steroids into chickens and making the chicken leg like something out of the Flintstones. You know, what was that, Stegosaurus burger or Brontosaurus leg? They didn't put out anything on the news saying that there's a danger, but you have a lot of young women that are having a lot of hormonal issues, and no one is talking about it. We're just labeling everything under reproductive organs. We want to be in control. You have to have babies if you get pregnant. I mean, what's my favorite? Incest. You know, you have to carry that baby to term. Rape. We'll decide it, but you have to carry that baby to term. One of the Supreme Court justices, before they became a Supreme Court justice, they were a judge in one of those southern states. And a young woman who migrated into the country stated that she was sexually assaulted and now she's pregnant. And she does not want this baby. She was a very young woman. And she went before this judge, and he told her, come back in 2 weeks and I'll give you a decision. every time this young girl went back, he kept saying to her, another 2 weeks, until she was too far in her pregnancy to have an abortion, because he took control over her reproductive organs and made it impossible for her, and she had to carry the baby full term. These are some of the things that are happening out there, and it saddens me, because I know a lot of people that have problems, sometimes even conceiving. I know people who have had abortions. They've spoken to me, and I tell them, I know how they tell us that it's against God. But didn't God throw Adam and Eve out of the garden the moment they knew they were naked? Didn't he say, get out? So it's not between you and God. It's between you and yourself. I'm not saying women should go out and have abortions, because babies are blessings. They're absolute blessings. Yeah, they drive you crazy as they get older, but children are blessings. And there's no right and no wrong answer here. But I know definitely no one should tell a woman what she can do with her body. And I've heard some crazy stuff. I just heard the congressman from North Carolina say it's not your body when you're pregnant, it's y'all's body. And I'm thinking, what? That doesn't even make any sense. And that's the thing. With pregnancy, these men are looking at it like, well, you're carrying the baby. The baby has a right. Yes, everybody has a right to live. Fine. I get it. But do you men actually know what it's like to go through a pregnancy? I mean, gaining weight, puking sometimes for weeks, feet swelling up, can't get out of a chair, can't get in the tub, can't get out of it, can't fit your clothes, can't walk down the stairs, and the backaches. Oh my gosh. You have a fetus that is literally chilling out in your back. That is real painful. A lot of women, after their pregnancy, end up with sciatica, a health issue. Okay? And how about that whole idea of your small, large intestines, along with your liver, your pancreas, all being pushed up underneath your rib cage for 9 months? Yeah, that's a great feeling. Yeah. Have a hard time breathing? Oh, and going to a bathroom? That's a lot of fun. There isn't enough water you can drink to have a bowel movement for 2 people. Let's see. Oh, labor. Oh my God. Well, that's a lot of fun. That's great. Your pelvis bone literally opens up so that it can help you push this baby out from between your legs. And yeah, it's so much fun. Oh my God, you guys have no idea. This is a wonderful thing. If a woman wants to do it, it's her right and it's her choice. And the good thing about it is that more men, more fathers are involved. They're there to help. They're there to rub your feet, rub your back. I have to say that. There are more men that are involved from the time the pregnancy starts until that baby is born and helping out the mother. I had that for like a very short period of time, but I see dads with their children all the time, and I loved seeing that. They're pushing the stroller, they've got the baby sack on them, and the baby's, sitting nice and comfortable on their chest. It's nice to see that more men are helping the mothers of their children. They're happy, they're doing the feeding, the bathing. We've come a long way, baby. Trust me when I say that. They're taking the children to school, they're helping them with homework. They're taking them out to do things. So don't think it's a male bashing, because it's not. I'm talking about the boneheads that are in power running the states and the country, and how they feel what women need and want. We're telling you what we need. We're telling you what we want. I just watched a couple of months ago, there was a hearing about what is the definition of a mother. And I just sat there with my mouth dropped open, because I was like, is this really a thing? We're demoting a mother down to birther? I don't remember what the breastfeeding term was, but yeah, here you have congressmen in Washington trying to redefine what a mother is. Go home and ask your own mother and see what she gives you as an answer. Because birther is insulting. We're giving birth, but that's not all of what a mother is. We nurture these children. We take care of them. Mother is the name of God on all children's mouths. That's who their mother is. A child looks at their mother and there is nothing else. She's everything to them. Everything. So to demote a mother to a birther is insulting to every woman who has had children, who's having children, and will have children in the future. That's insulting. And then my other favorite one, and I haven't seen this series or movies yet. What is a woman? I don't know. How would you describe us? We bleed every month for 7 days. Some of us actually hemorrhage. Okay, once our menstrual starts. We take care of the family. We run around with the children. We're there when they're sick. We take care of them. Most of us take care of the house. We anatomically have breast, a vagina. I don't know. I don't really know what else to say. Male, female. That's it. I do understand that there are transgender men who want to change into a female, and that's fine. But don't dishonor the women that come into this world like that. That's not nice. You don't go through the problems that we go through. You want to try and become us. Well, this is what I have to say for you guys. I will donate my own uterus, which I was told by my doctor is very good, to have it planted in a man who wants to experience having a baby. And I want to be there for the full 9 months to watch it all happen. I want to see how you feel when your pelvis splits open to try and push a baby out. But in your case, we'll probably have a cesarean section. And don't think those are easy either, because I had one. And I thought my insides were going to fall out on the street. I don't have anything against men wanting to change into being a woman. But don't be nasty to women. Don't walk by us thinking, oh, they think they're better because they're women. We're not thinking that. Being a woman is really hard. We catch the brunt of everything. We deal with all of it. And all we ask is to respect us. That's all. And I'm talking about mostly all women. All we want is to respect us and be understanding of what we're going through. Because you're not going through it. You know, men don't go through menopause. They're not sitting there with water literally coming down all over their bodies, the sweating. I myself didn't have it, but I remember watching one woman, and you would think the heavens opened up and it was just, the sweat was just pouring off of her. You know, menopause isn't fun either. That's not really great. You can't sleep at night, you're sweating all day. You know, your body's going through all these hormonal changes. I don't know about you men, but what do they say about you guys? You know, you hit a certain age and then all of a sudden, woohoo, I want to go run off and find me a younger chick. You know, that's not what happens to us. The same way we went through hormonal changes before we got our menstrual is the same kind of hormonal changes we're going to go through when it's done. It doesn't just go like this. Women start perimenopausing way before they're going to hit menopause. Like anywhere from 15 to 20 years they're going. Most women even some start in their 30s, and that's still time to have babies, you know? But some women start in their 30s, some start in their 40s, some start in their 50s, but it's guaranteed it's going to happen. And our body is going through all those crazy changes. We have the highs, we have the lows, where sometimes we're very happy, and other days we just want to go bury ourselves in a hole because we just want to cry. That's what our hormones do to us. And there isn't any man who can ever literally come in my face and say to me, I've never seen that happen to my girlfriend or my wife or my daughter or my niece or my mother, because that's a lie. That would be a lie. Being a woman is really hard. It's really hard. I'm not talking about the job stuff or anything. And it took a long time for even employers to not, look at a woman and go, well, it's not my fault that you decide to get pregnant. Or you hire somebody who has young children, and as soon as there's a call, the child's sick, I got to go. I got to go home. Oh, I can't come in today because my child is sick. I used to go through so much when I moved on to Staten Island, and I had to get my daughter to school and my son to daycare, and then get all the way up into Manhattan on 60th and Lexington. It was insane for me because I was going in two different directions. One child going to school, the other one I got to get to a babysitter. There was no help. There was none. Now you got help. Now you have, these daycares that take babies at sometimes 3 months, as early as 3 months. I couldn't do that. There was nothing like that. And what do we women do? We run ourselves ragged until we get sick. And we need to go to the doctor. We need to go to the hospitals. We have all kinds of things happening. And all we need is the respect from our employers, from our government, to understand that these are real things happen to real people. These issues are not going to go away. And to deny women health is insane. It's absolutely insane. Like I sit back and I think of the fact that my mom used to think everything is going to be so much better when you get older. There'll be no racism. People are going to get along. If she was here right now, she would probably be, what the hell has happened? I don't know. But if you ask me, the patients are running the government, okay, because it seems that everybody is stupid. Nobody is thinking correctly at all. And it becomes really passionate and it becomes really personal. You know, I know people that develop fibroids and have died from it because it wasn't taken care of. I know people that are women who have had their uterus removed, because that was the first thing. If a woman was diagnosed with fibroids, that's the first thing they say. We need to remove your uterus because, we can't remove the fibroids. Otherwise, we have to basically give you a hysterectomy. You know how many women were given hysterectomies? Because it was a woman's health issue. So let's just snatch out their reproductive organ. And they can't do it anymore. And yet I know women who have gotten pregnant and had healthy babies with fibroids inside of them. In fact, they can do a partial hysterectomy, and they do that more now. But back in the 70s, the 80s, and 90s, if a woman found out she had fibroids, the first option was give a woman a hysterectomy. And I know several women like that. I know one that came close to dying because she started to hemorrhage on the street, because a lot of us women, unless it's really bad, we're not going to the doctor. We just figure we can take care of it. And you want to know why? Because we can't afford to go to the doctor. We couldn't afford to, have these tests done. We couldn't afford to have our uterus removed, of all things. We couldn't afford it. So if it brought us to the brink of dying, then you got our attention. Most women don't go to the doctor because they don't have health insurance. And if they have health insurance, they don't have time. They don't have help. So these women health issues just go without the woman taking care of it, or until it's too late. We live our society now, since the pandemic happened. Everybody is dealing with mental health. postpartum syndrome is a mental health issue. Making a woman carry her baby for the full 9 months if the baby has died is definitely a mental health issue. Any child that is told when they grow up that, well, your mother died at birth, it was a choice, and according to the state we live in, it's mandated that more than anything, the child, the fetus has to be saved and not the parent. That's traumatic for a child to find out that their mom got sick during labor, and because of the state they live in, the doctor had to save them and not their mother. And many women used to die in childbirth. That was a thing at one point because doctors weren't equipped to keep the mother from dying. So there are many, that was a thing. Can you imagine? That was a thing. Women were dying during child labor. What what is that? Because they didn't know. Doctors didn't know what to do. Women's bleeding to death and you're just standing there. You know? That's so crazy to think about. That is so crazy to think about. So many of women issues have been ignored for so long. And right now, I would say next to mental health, one of the biggest issues that is happening with young women is that their hormones are out of whack. They go to the doctor, they're told it's this. They give the medication. They go home. They take the medication for a while. But the problem is still happening. They go back to the doctor. Doctor's like, okay, we're going to do some, we're going to do some testing. They come back. Okay, this is what's wrong with you. So you're going to take this medication. They take that medication. And this is like a revolving door, They're just going back around and around and around, back and forth to the doctor, being told, no, this is what it is. And they're just taking all these medications. Okay. Does the doctor ever figure out what's wrong with them? I don't think so. It's almost like all of a sudden we've become like lab rats. And trust me, I know people who are going through this. They don't even have kids yet. They don't even think they'll be able to have children when they decide to have them because they have so many issues going on with their hormones. And doctor they see, to me, doesn't seem to be equipped to figure out what the problem is. But now you have a young woman who is anxious. Anxiety sets in. Depression sets in. Then they start to gain weight. They can't sleep. They can't hold their food down. But they know there's something wrong. And all they're expecting and asking of the medical institution is, please find out what's wrong with me. That's all they want. They want you to take care of them very well. That's what they're expecting. And I hear so many of this from people that I know that are younger, that they're back and forth to the doctors. And the doctors are just like, well, this is what's wrong with you. and they just give them medication. Everything is medication. I myself take so much medication. I remember my medicine cabinet was just for Band-Aids, maybe some Tylenol, children's Tylenol, but it really wasn't a medicine cabinet. Now mine is a medicine cabinet. Every time I walk into my doctor's office, it's something else. And I've just gotten to the point where I go, okay, check. All right. And because there's nothing else I can say to them. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. I've been feeling the pain already, so I'm good with it. But why are we taking all of this medicine? That's the answer to women's health. Give us medication. Just give them medicine, they'll be fine. Take it by their right to their body, they'll be fine. Oh, they get pregnant, it's all right. Don't worry about it. You know, they've been raped, not a problem. Incest. You know, I try not to touch that, you know, because I call that hillbilly stuff. I can't. And my daddy was from Alabama. I just can't. But to be told that you have to carry a baby that was conceived in violence, no. Unacceptable. Unacceptable. The trauma you put to the mother, the trauma to the baby, unacceptable. I don't even understand that. I really don't. I don't understand why women's health is such an issue for this government. I don't get it. I don't get it. Women who are now in their 70s and 80s, they fought for this. And some of them are okay with what's going on. It's like they had their fun, okay? And now it's like, oh, well, I'm older. I'm old. I don't care anymore. You know, yeah, do what you have to do with these young girls and put them in check. Not for nothing, but this is not going to end up as a Handmaid's Tale. Trust me, that's not going to happen. Not at all. Women's health is a very major issue, and this is a presidential year. And I'm saying to all of you teenagers who are now 18 and have the right to vote, you 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds, 40-year-olds, mothers, grandmothers, go to the polls. Yes, I get it. It's, you think that what you have to say and that your vote is not important. It is. It's important to all those little girls that are in elementary school and in junior high school. It's for all those little girls that haven't been born yet. They need that. They need the protection. They need us to say at the polls this year, because two little old guys, one in his 70s and the other one in his 80s, is going to have say on how your reproductive rights are going to be in the future. One basically wants to overturn completely Roe versus Wade. I mean, we have a Supreme Court system that is like, oh, well, now that we're looking at this case again, we found errors that it shouldn't have been put in place in the first place. What? Really? How many years was that? I think Roe versus Wade was, in the 60s? I was a kid. So I really don't know much about it. It didn't matter because I was able to get birth control when I was 16. I didn't need my mother. And I lived in Massachusetts. But we're talking about something that is going to cover the whole country if one of these guys gets in there. And who knows what other crazy stuff he'll do. But the thing is that it's two old men who are going to reside over the court systems. I don't trust either one of them. I think one looks like he's sleeping, and the other one, I don't know what's wrong with him. Every time he opens his mouth, I get very upset because he never makes any sense. But you have the religious people out there that want to take away your right to your body. So we have to get out there to the polls. We need to be heard for all these children. My granddaughters, they can't even vote yet. So I'm going to make sure I vote for them because that's what we do. Every young woman, this is a fight for your rights. And you need to go to those polls. If you're a registered voter, you need to get it done. If you're not registered yet and you're a citizen, you need to go file so that you can vote in this presidential year because this is major right now. And women need their health. They need health care from whether it's for their mental health or for their reproductive organs. We need our rights and we need to be heard. We can't just ignore it because if we do, it's just going to be worse until the next 4 years comes around. And we've seen all kinds of crazy stuff going on. And, I think everybody has a therapist now. Everybody's in therapy. I'm not in therapy. I used to be in therapy long ago, but I got tired of talking to somebody who wants to hear my whole life story so they can tell me that my mother was crazy. I already knew that. I didn't need you to tell me that. I needed them to tell me how to deal with it. And they did some kind of a good job. But the rest I had to figure out on my own. But, women are in therapy. It's become a lonely world out there. So we're depressed. We have anxiety attacks. We're always depressed. We're always crying. We're always telling men we need help. We don't want to be like that. Trust me. We want to be stronger. But our hormones make us crazy. They make us do stupid things. And, wow, this was a crazy topic to talk about. It's always going to be easier. Hey, everybody on Instagram. See? Yes. Thank you, Dragon Mom. Black women died disproportionately during labor. Absolutely. That is so true. So, we have 5 minutes left, and I didn't finish that story that I started with. It had a good ending. The two doctors did an amazing job. They saved that mom, and they saved the child. It was touch and go, but mother and daughter survived. The mother had to have a C-section, but not in the normal way. Most C-sections, they just shoot you here to numb you out so that they can take the baby. In this case, it was considered major surgery because what was going on. And the mother grew up. She raised her child, who was a little girl. And if I ever see those doctors again, I will thank them so much for saving my daughter and keeping me in the world to be able to raise her. I was really lucky. I was real lucky. Because I know if that had happened to me now, my daughter would have been alive, but I wouldn't have been here to raise her. And this is why it's important for us to go to the polls and make our voices heard. Don't worry about what they call us, birthers. We know we're more than that. It's just a word, and we can ignore it. But what we can't ignore is how important women's health is. And that if we don't stop it now, it's only going to get worse. And I hope I didn't lose any of you, because this was a hard subject for me. I see a lot of people that I know go through a lot of stuff now because they're women and because they're female and because, you know, these doctors are just sitting there like some kind of mad scientist trying to figure out, you know, what's wrong with us. We're women. We already know what's wrong with us. We just want you to fix it. Can you do that? That's what we want. We want you to fix it. We want you to listen to what we're saying. Listen. Don't tell us what's wrong with us. Listen. We're telling you what's going on. And if you listen first and don't ignore us, then we have a chance. So I'm going to say goodbye to everybody. Hi. Oh, my goodness. Hey, Dimples. Thank you. I hope I did a good job. Sorry, I'm not being rude to the audience. I'm looking at everybody that is on. Thank you guys for all your support. It's going to get easier. I'm with you. I'm with you. So I'm going to do this again next month. You can always give me suggestions. I'll listen and I'll look into it and I'll come back on here and make Kenny listen to words like vagina and menstrual and periods. You okay back there, Ken? Thank you, everybody, for joining me today. Yes, yes, yes. That's right. For president is between a Zionist and a white supremacist. That's true. We're in trouble. We're in trouble. Mwah. See you guys next month.